Hi viewers, welcome to another interesting episode of our math topic. So for today we are going to be looking at Introduction to Algebra 1B. So the previous video was on Introduction to Algebra 1A, which talks about the same sign rule, but this is talking about the different sign rule. Before I continue, hope you've liked and subscribed to our channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification button to get more updates on our video uploads. So today's episode we are going to be looking at different sign rule. So in the last class we talked extensively on the same sign rule. I talked about how the same sign rule operates, that we have something like -6 -7. This is same sign rule, that is 6 has minus, 7 have minus. That means they have the same sign, and same sign rule said they should pick one of the similar signs and add both numbers together. So 6 plus 7 gives you 13. But today, what if we have -6 plus 7? What do you think the answer should be? How do we solve questions like this? This is what different sign rule will help us to find out. And what does different sign rule says? Different sign rule says we should pick the sign attached to the larger number and then subtract both terms. That if you're given any algebraic expressions and they have different sign, or if you're given any number to simplify and the numbers have different sign, just like the one I've written on the board, what does the rule say you should do? The rule says you should pick the sign attached to the larger number and then subtract both terms. Now, how do you identify the larger number? How do you know which number is larger or smaller? Now, in algebra, if I'm comparing -6 as a whole and I'm comparing +7 with their signs, you agree with me that +7 is greater than -6? Yes, that happens in algebra. Or for instance, again, if I talk about -8 plus 5, you agree with me that +5 is greater than what? -8. But in this case, we are not going to consider the sign attached. We are only going to consider the number or the digit alone. So when I'm saying you should find out the larger number, that means you're only considering the larger number or the larger digit without considering the what? Numbers attached to it. So for this case, if I have -6 plus 7, I'm only going to consider 6 and 7, ignoring the minus sign attached and ignoring the plus. So between 6 and 7, which one is greater? 7 is greater. Then I'll pick the sign attached to 7, which is plus. If I have -8 plus 5, ignoring the minus and ignoring the plus, 8 and 5, which one is greater? 8 is greater than 5. Then I'll ask myself, what is the sign attached to 8? Minus. Then I'll pick minus. But ordinarily, if you ask in mathematics that between -8 and +5, which one is greater? Definitely +5 is greater than -8 with the signs. But this time around, I am not considering the what? The signs. I'm only considering the digit, which is just 8 and just what? 5. So 8 and 5, 8 is greater. Then I'll pick the sign attached. So this is what I'm going to be doing for different sign rule. Now, looking at the first example. The first example says we should simplify +6 minus 8. So if you want to simplify +6 minus 8, how do we go about this? What do you think the answer should be? This is not really hard. So for +6 minus 8, considering what different sign rule says, it says pick the sign attached to the larger number and then you subtract both terms. So between 8 and 6, considering the digit alone without their signs, between 6 and 8, which one is greater? 8 is greater. You agree with me? Then what is the sign attached to 8? Don't forget, I've explained to you that the signs for every numbers are usually in front of the numbers. So that means the sign for 8 is minus and the sign for 6 is plus. So that means I'm going to pick my minus sign, then I'll subtract. If I take away what? 6 from 8, I'm going to have 2. So my answer gives me -2. But take note, -2 is not the same thing as 2. Please don't remove the minus sign. -2 is not the same thing as what? 2. Let's look at another example. Let's look at example 2. If we're told to simplify -10 plus 13. We want to simplify -10 plus 13. So what rule are we going to adopt in solving this? Are we going to be talking about the same sign rule or the different sign rule? Don't forget, same sign rule has to do with you having the same signs attached to your expressions. But looking at this, the sign for 10 is minus, the sign for 13 is plus. It means they do not have the same sign. So that means I'm not going to be applying same sign rule. So I'm going to talk about the different sign rule. And what the different sign rule wants us to do, pick the sign attached to the larger number. So between 13 and 10, which one is greater? 13. What is the sign attached to 13? Plus. Because the signs are usually in front of the numbers. So I'm going to pick plus. Then I'll take away 10 from 13 and that will give me 3. Don't forget again, plus 3 also can be written as what? 3. Where this 3 has an invisible plus sign attached to it. Take note of that. Okay, let's look at the next example. Example 3. If you were to simplify minus 8x plus 7x, what do you think the answer should be? Now, because I'm having algebraic expressions attached to it, this shouldn't scare you. This shouldn't make you confused. Don't forget, I've told you earlier on in our previous topic that for every algebraic expressions, the variables are meant to be similar. Now, once the variables are similar, then that means you can add and you can also what? Subtract. So looking at this, I'm having x, I'm having x. So the variables are the same, they are alike. Then I'll now ask myself, what rule should I adopt in solving this? And before I do that, I need to check the signs attached to the numbers. So the sign for 8x is minus and the sign for 7x is plus. That means the signs are not the same. That means these are different signs. So this takes us to different sign rule. So different sign rule says if you pick the sign attached to the larger number, so which one is larger between 8 and 7? Definitely it's going to be 8. And the sign for 8 is what? Minus. So I'm going to pick minus. Take away 7 from 8. You're going to get 1. But I'm having variable x. Will I now write my answer as minus 1x? Can this be possible? No, this is wrong. I've told you in our previous class that you cannot attach 1 to any variable. So that means I can't have my answer as what? Minus 1x. But rather, I'll just take away the 1 and write this as minus x. Take note of that. But if it were to be 2, I can have 2x. If it were to be 3, I can have 3x. Even if I have 0.1, I can still have 0.1x. This is correct. But 1 cannot be attached to any variable. Take note of that. Let's look at example 4. For example 4, we have to simplify minus y plus 2y. Yes. So minus y plus 2y. Should we be scared about this kind of question? No, this shouldn't scare you. So if I have minus y plus 2y, you don't need to be scared. All you need to do is to identify the signs and identify the variables if they are similar. So I'm having y, I'm having y. Here the variables are similar. That means I can add and I can subtract. Okay, so since I found out that, then what about their signs? The sign for y is minus. The sign for 2y is plus. So which one is greater? Between 2, don't forget this y does not have any number attached to it. That means it has an invisible 1. So that means between the visible 1 and 2, which one is greater? 2 is greater. So since 2 is greater, what is the sign attached to 2? The sign attached to every number is usually in front of it. So the sign attached to 2 is plus. So that means I'm going to select my plus, which is that. Then what do I do next? I'll subtract both numbers together. So that invisible 1 attached to y, if I subtract that 1 from 2, what will I get? 1. So if I'm having 1, then I'll pick back one of the similar variables that will give us y. So do you think this is correct? Should our answer be 1y? No, it shouldn't be, because 1 cannot be what? Attached to any variable. So I'll just come here and remove my 1. So the answer is plus y. And in algebra, plus y can also be written as what? Y. Where this y here has an invisible plus sign. Are you taking note of that? Okay, so let's look at the next example. Example 5. So for example 5, if we were to simplify 9xy minus 15xy, how do we solve this? It's still the same. Just first of all, identify the signs and identify the algebraic expressions if they are similar. I'm having xy, I'm having xy. Both x and y are arranged in alphabetical order, and x and y are similar. So that means it's possible for me to add and subtract. Then I'll find out which rule I need to adopt. Is it going to be the same sign or the different sign rule? So looking at this, 9xy has an invisible plus, 15xy has what? Minus. So that means they have different signs. And since they have different signs, the rule says that we should pick the sign attached to the larger number and subtract. So between 9 and 15, which one is larger? Then you find out that 15 is larger, and the sign attached to 15 is what? Minus. So I'm going to be selecting minus. Take away 9 from 15. Take away 9 from 15, you are going to get 6. Then you attach back the similar variables. So I'm going to have x, y. Are you getting that now? So the answer is minus 6xy. But don't forget, minus 6xy is not the same as 6xy. So please don't go and write it as what? 6xy. This can only be done if I had written plus 6xy. So plus 6xy can also be written as what? 6xy. but minus 6xy cannot be written as 6xy. So let's look at the next example, example 6. So for example 6, if we're told to simplify minus 11 yx squared plus 19x squared y, and you want to simplify this, how do you go about solving it? This is still also the same thing. You know, one thing about math is that you just need to always have your rules. So once you have your rules and you understand your rules, always use that in solving every math problem given to you. So when the math question is given to you, you don't need to freak out and you don't need to be scared. So all you need to do is to just look at and identify the rule that will solve that math problem for you. So looking at this, all you just need to do is first of all look at the algebraic expression, look at the variables. Are they similar? I'm having yx squared, I'm having x squared y. So that means the variables are not kind of similar. And this is not even arranged in alphabetical order. So the first thing for me to do is to arrange it in alphabetical order so as to see if it's going to be similar or not. Okay, so that means the next thing is I'm going to write this as minus 11 y and x squared. X should come before y, so this is x squared y plus, this is already arranged, so I'm still going to write it as 19x squared y. Then what is the signs attached since the variables are the same? So since the variables are the same, it's possible for me to add and subtract. How do I know the variables are the same? The x here is raised to the power of 2, the x here is raised to the power of 2. Y here is raised to the power of invisible 1, y here is always raised to the power of an invisible 1. So they're the same. Now, the sign for 11 is minus, the sign for 19 is plus. So this is different sign rule. So what sign will I pick? Will I be picking minus or picking plus? So what do you think I should pick? Definitely I'm going to select our plus, since the larger number is 19 and the sign attached to it is what? Plus. So I'll come here and write plus. Then taking 11 from 19, I'm going to have 8. Then I'll put back my x squared y. Then plus 8x squared y can also be written as 8x squared y. So this is correct. Are you seeing that now? Okay, so let's look at example 7. If you were to simplify 14 CAB minus 19 BCA, how do we solve this? This is also not hard. First of all, looking at the variables don't seem to be arranged in alphabetical order. I'm having CAB and this is BCA. So since the variables are not arranged in alphabetical order, so what do? I will just need to do what? I will just need to rearrange the variables in alphabetical order. So that doing that, let's write it here. So arranging the variables in alphabetical order, I'm going to be having 14 ABC minus 19. This is also what? ABC, because A comes before what? B and C. So now I've arranged the variables in alphabetical order. Then next, looking at the variables, since the variables are similar, then it's possible for me to add and subtract. The sign for this is an invisible plus, the sign for 19 is minus. So that means this is different sign rule. So what sign will I pick? I'm definitely going to pick the sign attached to a larger number. Since 19 is greater than 14, the sign attached to 19 is minus, so I'm going to select minus. If I select minus, then I'll take away 14 from 19 and that gives us 5. Then I have ABC. You can see how simple it is. Then don't forget that minus 5ABC is not the same as 5ABC. Let's take a look at another example. Let's look at example 8. Okay, so for example 8, if you were to simplify minus 38 QPR plus 49 PRQ. You want to simplify something like this. So how do you go about solving it? Again, like I told you, don't freak out when you're given any math problem. Just all you need to do is to understand and identify the rules you're going to use to solve it. Okay, so this is having minus, having plus. So that means I should be considering different sign rule, right? Then the next thing is looking at the variables. Are they arranged in alphabetical order? No, they are not. So that means since they're not arranged in alphabetical order, I'll have to do that first. So that this becomes minus 38. In alphabetical arrangement, which comes first? So this is supposed to be what? PQR. So this becomes PQR, then plus 49 PQR. Are you getting it down? So I've arranged my variables in alphabetical order. So since I've arranged my variables in alphabetical order, then I've identified the larger number. So between 38 and 49, which is larger? So if you agree with me that 49 is larger, and since 49 is larger, then what is the sign attached to 49? Plus. Then I'll come here and select my plus. Then I'll take away 38 from 49. I'm going to have 11. Then attach back the similar variables P, Q, R, and that gives us our final answer. Are you getting it now? So why I was able to adopt different sign rule was because the variables are what? Similar. I'm having PQR, I'm having PQR. So that means I can add and I can what? Subtract. Okay, so let's look at the example 9. For example 9, you have to simplify 78 d square c e raised to the power of 3 minus 113 e cube c d square. Okay, so how do we go about solving this? This is now looking as if it's already tough. No, it is still not tough. Are you getting that now? So all you need to do is just identify the rule for this. So I'm having invisible plus, I'm having minus. So what should come to my mind is different sign rule. Then look out for the variables if I can add or subtract. Are they similar? So I'll check. Okay, the variables, this is D and C. It's not arranged in alphabetical order. So before me to even find out, I need to first arrange my variables in alphabetical order. Okay, so let's do that now. Alright, so that means now I will now arrange them in alphabetical order. So this should be 78. So C comes before my D. So I'm going to have C d squared e raised to the power of 3 minus 113 c d squared e raised to the power of 3. Can you see that now? So that means from here now the variables have been arranged in alphabetical order. So then I will now look out for the larger number. So between 78 and 113, which one is greater? Definitely 113. What is the sign attached to 113? The signs are usually in front of every number. So sign attached to 113 is what? Minus. So I'll come here and select minus. Then I'll take away 78 from 113. What would that give us? That will give us 35. Then I will now attach back my variables, which are c d squared e raised to the power of 3. So since the variables are similar, I was able to add and I was able to what? Subtract. Are you taking note of that? So this is not actually hard. So the next one, we're going to look at example 10. So for example 10, if you are told to simplify minus 59 GKF plus 58 KFG. So how do you go about solving this? So this is also not hard. So the first thing is for me to look at the signs attached. So this is minus plus. So what should come to my mind is different sign rule. Then the next thing is for me to see if the variables are arranged in alphabetical order. So looking at this, are they arranged in alphabetical order? Definitely they are not what? Arranged in alphabetical order. So I need to do that first. So that means this becomes minus 59. So our F should come first, followed by G and then K. Are you getting it now? F should come first, followed by G, then K, then also plus 58 F, G, and what? K. So now I've arranged the variables in alphabetical order, and the variables were now similar. So since the variables are similar, that means possible for us to add and subtract. So which one is larger between 59 and 58? Which is larger? Then you agree with me that 59 is larger. So what is attached to 59? Minus. So I'll come here and select minus. Then I'll take away 58 from 59. That gives us 1. But since I'm going to also attach variable to it, that means I don't even need to write the 1, because 1 cannot be attached to any variable. Then I'm going to just put, because I'm supposed to have 1, then I'll now have f, g, k, but nothing like minus 1 f, g, k. So I'll just erase the 1 and write only minus f, g, k. That means f, g, k has an invisible 1 attached to it. So do you understand that now? So let's look at the next example. Let's look at the example 11. So for example 11, if we were to simplify minus 8x plus 3y. How do you go about solving this? Minus 8x plus 3y. Okay. So if I have minus 8x plus 3y, so what do we do? So in this case here now, I'm going to I have minus 8x plus 3y. I'll just write it back. But looking at the variables, I'm having x and y. So the variables are not the same. So since the variables are not the same, then that means I need to what? I cannot add and I cannot what? Subtract. So that means minus 8x plus 3y, that's going to be my answer. For most time in some book, you might see that okay, they will not just write it as minus 8x, because most time in algebraic expressions, not always go for a minus, the one having the minus to come first. So they'll just rearrange. So don't forget, the sign for 8x is minus, sign for 3y is plus. So I'll now bring in this guy that has plus first, and the 8x and the minus I'll take it second. So this becomes minus 8x. Can you see that now? So that means I'll now have it as plus 3y minus 8x. But don't forget, 3y has an invisible word, plus. So since 3y has an invisible plus, then I can write this as 3y minus what? 8x. Do you see that now? So the answer is 3y minus 8x. Okay, so take note of that. Let's look at example 12. So example 12, if we have, if I simplify, plus 3 x squared y minus 9xy squared. So how do you go about simplifying this? Plus 3x squared y minus 9xy squared. So this is not actually hard. So the same thing again. I'm having an algebraic expression like this. I'm going to look at the sign. This is plus and this is what? Minus. So if this is plus and this is minus, all I just need to do is to what? That means what comes to my mind that this is different sign rule. So this is different sign rule. I will now check if the variables are well arranged in alphabetical order. Yes, they are arranged in alphabetical order, but are they similar? This is x raised to the power of 2 and this is x raised to the power of 1. They are not the same. This is y raised to the power of 1, this is y raised to the power of 2. So once your variables are not the same, you cannot add, you cannot subtract. So now my final answer is plus 3x squared y minus 9xy squared. So this should be our final answer, or I can just remove the plus and write it as 3x squared y minus 9xy squared. So this is how you get your answers. Are you getting that now? So that means let's look at the next example. Let's look at example 13. Okay, so for example 13, we have minus 5dc squared b plus 3cb squared d. This shouldn't scare us as well. So first of all, I just look at the signs attached. So this is minus and this is plus. So just this, what comes to my mind is our different sign rule. Then before I apply the different sign rule, I'll first of all look at the variables if they are arranged in alphabetical order. And if they are arranged in alphabetical, if they are not, then I need to do that first. So looking at this, I'm having D coming before C. So it's not arranged in alphabetical order. So this becomes minus 5c squared, minus 5b c squared, then d plus 3. Which one comes first? So for 3, I should have what? B squared, then c and d. So looking at this now, are they similar, the variables? Because after arranging, you need to check if the variables are what? Similar before you can add or subtract. So looking at this, I'm having b raised to the power of 2. The b's are not the same. So automatically the variables are not similar. I don't even need to go through the rest. So in as much as one of the variables is not what? Similar, then that means I cannot add and I cannot subtract. So this will be my final answer. Or most times we want the plus to come first. So that means for the plus to come first, I can write this as plus 3b squared cd. Then this one, take it next, so that becomes minus 5bc squared d. Can you see that now? Or most time again, they remove this plus sign and write it as what? 3b squared cd minus 5bc squared d. So that means somebody gives you questions like this and asks you to simplify, and you just stop here and tell the person that this is the final answer. You might be wrong, because first you did not even rearrange the word variables in alphabetical order. So once you arrange the variables in alphabetical order, then you tell the person if it can be further simplified or it cannot be simplified. Okay, so this brings us to the end of different sign rules. I hope you understand what we just did now, which is on different sign rule. And if you have any questions to ask, don't forget to ask me in the comment section, and feel free to ask, and I'll always reply to your response. So now let us look at some of the exercise questions. So the exercise questions, I have about 5 exercises for you guys to try. Then anyone you're not clear or sure about, just inbox me. So from here, the first one is minus 7GB plus 9BG. Number 2, 13LJNM minus 21JMLN. Number 3, 115T raised power of 5 B2 C raised power of 3 minus 98B raised power of 2 T raised power of 5 C raised to the power of 2 minus 81BXFK plus 80FSKB. Then lastly, number 5, minus 39T A raised power of 2B plus 16TB squared A. Those are the questions you need to simplify. So don't forget, you're going to find out if it's going to be same sign rule or different sign rule. Different sign rules when they are not having the same signs. So if they're not having the same signs, what do you need to do? Pick the sign attached to the larger number and then you subtract. Okay, so see you in the next video on Introduction to Algebra 1C.